here today to ask you one question. What are you waiting for? I find entrepreneurs are always waiting for many things. Their boss to give them permission or leave, their husband or wife to agree with them, be on the same page, life to be in the absolute best circumstances, the right moment everyone is waiting for, Mercury maybe to come in retrograde even, some people, But what I've learned is that those are all chains that we've forged ourselves to. Okay? Now, in my talk, I like to know a little bit about who is in my audience. So I'd like you to raise your hands for me for some questions. Okay. Firstly, please can you raise your hand if you've ever had an idea for a side hustle that's kept you up late at night? Okay. And of those of you who had those ideas, how many of you have actually built the prototype or the solution? Wow, it's about less than half. And of you, how many of you have been paid for that side hustle? Wow, okay, so that absolute clip drop, that is why we're here today. Now, entrepreneurs, especially before they've ever started, I find that they find every reason to block themselves. I don't have the right connections. I don't know the right people. I don't have a network. I don't have a brand. We're always waiting for funding, someone to invest in us, to, come on in, you guys can come to the front, to really say that your idea is good, to give you money, to say, go ahead, take time, do it. And often, we look for luck. Now, I have to just say that all of these are absolute myths. Luck can be manufactured. It's about opportunities that you really take for yourselves. And I really want to show you that by the end of this talk, you can even take your first steps to becoming an entrepreneur today. You could start your side hustle today. Okay. So, if I'm successful in my endeavors, there's 3 switches that I'm going to teach you that you can make to start side hustling. The first switch you need to make is about your mindset. You've got to set your head right. Then, I'm going to talk about MVP, and I'm a marketer, so I'm not the best person to talk about that, but I'll tell you where you can go for good talks on that today. And we'll talk about micro-marketing. Now, again, I will not make this a marketing talk, do not worry. You will not be told to go on social media, okay? So let's dive in and really look at these 3 switches. The first one I want to talk to you about is mindset. Now, your mindset is about how you perceive the world as well as the things that happen to you. The same thing can happen to 2 people, but if they have different mindsets or they've put on specific glasses on purpose, they can have a totally different outcome and result from the exact same experience or the exact same circumstances. And it is about a choice, honestly. Mindset is a choice. When you realize you're struggling, if you feel like you're suffering, you probably just need a new pair of glasses. Okay, so how did I change my mindset? Now, the last time I spoke at DevConf was right after I was retrenched. It was 2022, and I was an event organizer. So that really, really sucked. But I realized I was in a position where I was a junior, maybe mid. I was not established at all in my career. I had 0 personal brand. I had no product. I had never gone to anyone to pitch my services. I didn't know what to charge hourly. I had no team. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have partners. I literally had 0 of the right circumstances. And the only thing I really was able to take from that was they offered me a free career coaching session with the head of people. Now, this was weird because it was supposed to be about what I was good at, right? And she was very excited to tell me how great I was at Slack and how I should make something out of that. And within a week, I had produced and written my first Getting Slick at Slack course. My naming is super corny, but this made me 5,000 Rand in 1 week with zero graphics. I didn't have to be an absolute expert. Honestly, most of this you could probably even Google the information. But I found a problem, and I was able to realize that what I needed was not permission or someone to ask me to do something. I realized that she had a problem and a real pain, and I realized that she was willing to pay to solve it. So what I was also able to do, within 1 week, I sold it. Within 2 months, I had white labeled it and sold it to other companies who were trying to get on Slack. And all I had to do was a few minutes of Notion implementation. Super easy, super simple. And that really, really helped me change my mindset from waiting for X, Y, Z, for all those boxes to be ticked and right and ready for me, to realizing that I only need 2 things. You need a problem that I'm interested in solving, maybe, sometimes not even then, and paying audience that is actually willing to pay you for that. Now, I want to give you a good example of a local tech company that started off as a side hustle, and I think nailed mindset from the very beginning. Digs Connect. So, for those of you who don't know Digs Connect is a platform that matches university students with accommodation, right? Now, when they started, Alexandria Proctor and her team were students in second-year university at UCT. They had 0 degree. They had no experience. They had no one saying that they could do the job. But what they really, really, really found was that the audience with this problem, then they were literally waiting to throw money at someone to solve the problem. I don't know if anyone here has tried to find accommodation at university. Such a mission. And now they have gone global. They had no platform when they started out. They literally just did matching via emails. So they didn't wait for the perfect conditions. They did find a big problem. They understood the audience's real need to solve it and how that problem could be solved. And then they did it. They didn't wait until they had the tech solution. Now, for mindset, now I know there's a lot we could go in, and there's a talk at the end of the day by Tess. Tess will be doing it. It's called Hack Your Something and Hold the Door. Watch it. If you want to learn about adapting your mindset, highly recommend that talk. But for now, I want to hand back over to you because I've been talking for too much already. And I would like you to take 1 minute to just think about one problem that you encounter. If you have multiple, that's great. But think of at least one pain point. It doesn't have to be your pain point. Maybe your biggest pain point is that your children have this pain and you want to solve that, you know? Think of one pain every day. Now, I want to ask, is anyone brave enough to share the pain points that they would like to solve? Yes.
Simple. Lower back.
Lower back pain. I love that. And because you were brave enough, I'm going to give you a month free in my community for side hustlers and solopreneurs so I can help you build your side hustle. Thank you. Anyone else want to share? Yeah.
The problem for me is I have problems that need solved.
You don't have problems that need solving. That's really interesting. You know, I promise you there's about 80 people in this room who could give you a problem that they need solving, and I'm pretty sure I could help with that too. But thank you. You can also get a month because you said something. Amazing. Okay, so the second company or side hustle that I would like to share with you, actually no, before we jump to that, let's talk about an MVP. Now, I'm not a tech person, so I've never built an MVP in the sense of actually like a product, but an MVP is the absolute smallest solution that you can sell, okay? It could be as small as like if you're building a game, just one level is an MVP, for example. If you want to start coaching people, just booking one half-an-hour call might be your MVP. It's just something that helps you test out exactly what you're selling. And if you want to learn how to build a good tech MVP, Kurai is speaking after me. go speak to him, go look at his talk on side projects. Okay, so the next company I'd like to talk about is Eskom se push. So Eskom se push is a side hustle that I'm willing to bet everybody knows about. I would actually think almost everyone has the app installed on their phone right now. And this side hustle was started to answer one question: when is my power off? Very easy. It was built in 2015 by 2 senior engineers, one of which is in the room, so no pressure. And what I learned from talking to them is that they didn't, from that date, 2015, they didn't chase investors. They didn't chase features. They didn't chase Facey UI. They were not responsible to anybody. Up until 2019, that is 4 years of just getting to work on your problem, figuring out exactly what the best solution is before you need to monetize. So how they did this was, firstly, they understood the problem, really understand what the easiest way is to solve it. Then focus on building the absolute best product to resolve that problem. And then they happened to get millions of users to really validate their solution before they even started making a cent and monetizing it. Okay, up to 4 million users a day at one point, which is an amazing way. And you don't think there you don't need a network. Zero marketing. It really is about that sweat equity mindset and having a laser-focused MVP. And you can have a side hustle that was maybe not even intended to be a product. It was intended for helping you grow. And I feel like if you build towards solving those problems for yourself as well as for other people, then you're always going to have people helping you solve the problem because they want it to be resolved. Okay. So I would like to hand over back to you. Now, based on the problems you were thinking about, okay, I want you to think of one way that you can solve it. Some questions that you can ask yourself as you're thinking about this is, what skills do I have to contribute to solve this specific problem? What can I build that can reduce this pain? Or what process could I follow to resolve these challenges? Okay. Anybody brave enough to share their solution? I don't have an NDA thing, but we'll, don't give us too much information. But does anyone want to share their side hustle solution? Yeah.
Well, more for my daughter's choosing subjects now for, what's that, grade 10?
Yes.
Standard 8 months. But she doesn't know what she wants to do. So build something for her to show what all the subjects combined and what jobs and careers you can do with those subjects. So she could break it down and go, okay, I'm interested in physiotherapy, so I have to sort of do this, but I was thinking of doing that and it doesn't lead to that. So just something to, with the subject you choose and what jobs you can go to and careers you can break off from that.
That is genius. I really love that. I actually spoke at a career fair last week, and grade 9s kept coming up to me with that exact problem. They were like, my whole life is ahead of me. How do I make this decision? And they feel like it's a really important decision in the same way that, I guess it is picking a coding language or picking a product. Thank you so much for sharing. Please come give me your name afterwards. I'd like to give you a membership too. Anybody else want to share? Yes.
Yeah, I'm a QA, working with startups, so building out really extensive end-to-end suites is quite painful, especially when things change. So I'm kind of working on a visual regression tool that makes it really simple to target pages or elements, and then comparing baselines against that. The plan is to open source it so that everyone can use it, and then have a web app that can connect to it.
I love that idea, and what a great place to be able to pitch that. Thank you for sharing it. Please come give me your name after this. Any last ideas you want to share? I love side hustles. Honestly, it's my goal in life is to make sure everyone can be self-employed. Okay, so let's then talk about the final switch. And this is where I just have to put a disclaimer because I do know that lots of people here hate marketing. And personally, I'm a marketer who hates marketing myself. I've done absolutely everything I can to tell people I'm a community marketer. I do community. I hate social media. I hate really having to have like a landing page for everything and the perfect pitch for everything. I really believe in relationships. And so I'm not going to tell you or teach you about a growth model. Honestly, you can go Google a growth model. If you're at a point where your business needs to grow your marketing, you probably need some sort of framework. And I don't have one on how to make 5K in 30 days because it doesn't work like that from my experience. But micro-marketing is a lot simpler than that, okay? You don't need a website, you don't need social media, you don't need a blog or to be like an influencer or a content creator. You really, really don't, unless you want to. If you want to, that's another thing. Then you totally can. But it can be as easy as just attending this talk. Like all of you now know about all of these people's projects that they're working on. You can go talk to them afterwards. You can get ideas. You can speak at DevConf. You can apply. It's a community event. You can also use online communities. Online communities are a wealth of opportunity for both finding your customers and validating your problem, but also really just testing your ideas and finding a friendly audience, because that can sometimes be the hardest thing, especially if you're waiting for perfect. If you find that your mindset is stuck and you are waiting for perfect, show your thing to somebody else, because they will probably tell you that it's a lot better than you think, or they'll be able to give you some feedback that you maybe didn't know. But yeah, so let's look at our case study for micro-marketing, and I think this is one which you all know about as well, DevConf, okay? Now, DevConf is a side hustle that was able to be fair, I don't think I had to fight with Rob to call this a side hustle because they don't make any money, right? All of the money from DevConf is just reinvested back into the community. So it doesn't make any money, but I would argue that DevConf is an amazing side hustle because not one person who ran this event works full-time for DevConf. Not one person. The organizers, this is their complete side hustle. They make no money from it. The partners, they all get something out of it, but it's about bringing the community together and making space for the community. So I think what they did really well from the outset, for their mindset, they had the benefit of the developer user group of South Africa, having existed for 5 years prior to DevConf, right? In those situations, Rob realized, you know what? Adults are busy people. They've got families and life and children. They don't want to be going to conferences or events or meetups in the middle of the night. Or even if they want to, it's not practical, right? We can't just take leave and go to the middle of the city. So they decided to build an event where managers would take their whole team together, and it would become a team event where you don't have to ask or beg. Your boss comes to you and goes, guess what? We get to go to DevConf together. They understood the problem. Their mindset was about purely designing an MVP that can solve that problem for that specific audience. So in 2016, the MVP was built exactly to those specifications. They knew it wasn't going to be a meetup, so they knew, based on a meetup, how to scale it, right? Maybe they'd never run a conference before, but having attended a few, they were able to make learnings and build an MVP that they could trial and get feedback on from the community. And as far as micromarketing goes, definitely not micromanaging. I asked Robert and Candice what their trick was for marketing, right? Because now this is something that, personally, I hate even marketing my own stuff. It can be such a frustration. And she said to me, the number one thing that he was able to do was get a Candice. Now, if you can find me a cloning machine, I could use a Candice myself sometimes. But I think what he meant was that you really need to find yourself a partner. Find someone, if you are not the marketer in the situation, I promise you there are many marketers out there looking for someone who can write code. I promise you. There's so many who want to know how to build products or run teams even, and build technical skills in people. Those are things that you can find in others. So find a partner who complements your strengths, and has different weaknesses to you. And make sure that you can argue with them. Conflict is a really good thing in a partnership. But the other thing that they then did with their marketing is they leveraged all of the relationships that they built. They leveraged from the meetup, but then they also went to companies from people in the meetup, and asked, will you sponsor? Will you bring your teams? How can we make this valuable for you so that you don't feel like you're sending your developers away to not do something useful or not do something productive? And that was really how they were able to tailor DevConf to really meet the needs of the people who were willing to pay for it, right? Because no profit is made. All of it just goes back into the community, and that needs to happen. They did do paid ads in the beginning, and they did team up with the marketing team, basically, who helps with all the nitty-gritty that they're not great at. So again, finding partners, and marketing might not be where you're at, right? You might not be at a point where you need to do paid ads. In fact, DevConf hasn't run paid ads since I think it was only the first 2 years that they ran, because their tickets sell out like this, because it's a community-generated and run event. Okay, so now I'm gonna pause for another few seconds, and I would like to hand the floor over to you again. But I'm going to show you how easy marketing is, like genuinely so easy. So what you're going to do is you're going to turn to someone next to you who you don't know. You're going to introduce yourself, and you're going to tell them your side hustle idea. But before you go, I'm going to clap when I would like your attention again, okay? But for now, please, go ahead, do some marketing. Thank you. That was a round of applause for all of you. Marketing is not that hard, and meeting people is not that scary, especially if you have something that you are so excited to build and work on and get information on. Honestly, if you found a product that you can't wait to ask someone 50 questions about, or a problem that you want to ask people about incessantly, you're probably on the right track with your idea. Okay, so I'm going to do a little exercise to try and prove this 3-switch playbook to you now, okay? So has anyone here ever experienced a sort of meerkat meeting moment? Imagine 5 people huddled over one screen trying to do a stand-up, trying to do a demo, trying to watch a movie, trying to do a game at a team event. Hands? Anyone had that experience? Before COVID. Before COVID, before we learned better. Fair. Okay. So the problem with this kind of scenario is it's a complete waste of time in some situations, because not everyone can contribute. It can be quite unproductive. Someone can get frustrated, and I bet you there's coffee spilled somewhere, probably on a keyboard or someone's laptop. So it's definitely a problem worth solving. Maybe for you, maybe for your side hustle, maybe for your company. Now, how can you solve this problem? The smallest possible fix is you can get a projector, a Wi-Fi powered projector for your office. All you need to do, plug it in, cast it, and voila, no more meerkat meetings. No investors. All you need to do is take out your phones and scan this QR code on the screen. Please, everybody, go on. You can scan it, and what you can do is you can give me some feedback on my talk. You can pitch your side hustle idea to me as well. And just please take the moment, and you could win this projector for yourself. You don't have to share it with your company. If you do, I promise. The last thing that I really just want to ask you all is, what the hell are you waiting for? My name is Candice, and I am an entrepreneur, and I genuinely believe the world will be made a better place by more people stepping into that role. So if you want to follow me, that's my newsletter. I talk to solopreneurs twice a month for free. I also run a community for people who are non-marketing, who are trying to learn how to do the marketing side of their business. And so thank you so much for listening. Basically, I was told I've had 2,400 seconds of your attention, which is a lot of responsibility, and thank you for letting me hold that space for you. Please, I would love to hear your questions, and if you would like to pitch me your side hustles, either now or in the hall afterwards, I'll give you a membership to my community too. Thank you.